Alrighty, so on today's show, man, we're gonna get it started by talking about the Cougs and the Hawks. And so it's gonna be a reaction Tuesday, not a reaction Monday. But man, let's go ahead and let's talk about the Cougs first. And Jackie Bo, go ahead and give me your thoughts on that game against Wisconsin.
Well, first off, go Cougs.
Go Cougs. You know
Yes,
what?
sir.
Jack should
Win or
sing the fight
lose.
song. He should sing the fight song for us. Let's see if we
Not
still
unless
got
you
it.
sing it with me. Not unless we all three
We
do
have a
it.
little.
You're all
We have a
Cougs.
delay. We have a delay, so we gotta have one person go,
Yeah.
and you're the honorary guest.
Nah,
Yep.
I ain't a solo act. All right. Yeah, that was a hell of a game.
Yeah.
After week one, coming out a little bit flat against Idaho, definitely looked like they had some kinks to work out, on both sides of the ball. And they really picked up. One thing about the Cougs, even from the time we were there to now, the one thing I noticed is they play up to the potential of their opponent. It seems like they always seem to show up at the right time. Sometimes we'll play some schools that are down low, and we'll make it a close game somehow. And then we'll play a team like Wisconsin, and we'll fight, we'll battle. They really turn it up. But the team looked really good overall, facing a tough opponent. Very, very different style. Wisconsin likes to ground and pound. They have big boys on defense. They like to hit. And the Cougs are the opposite. We've got a finesse game, big passing game, lots of screens, the occasional inside run, draws. And Cam Ward got a little bit on his feet too, but Cam looked pretty good. He looked lost like a couple times, made a couple questionable throws. One of them turned out to be a pick that we got lucky, caused a fumble. There's a bit of luck, a bit of skill, a bit of everything to that game. And I thought they looked really good overall. The speed D was flying around, and they were really talking about that on the TV broadcast too. How our defense, they hawk to the ball, and if one of them doesn't make a play, you best believe there's another guy right behind them ready to make that play, which has always been a huge part for that team, especially with Jake Dicker as the head coach, being a defensive head coach. He really has a grasp on what his players can do and what his game plan is. So they look confident, strong.
Exactly. So let's follow up on that, Lee. Fucking their defense, man. It looked explosive, fast, like back in the day, shit with Mike Leach and them. So go ahead and explain to me how that defense is and what you think about it.
So I'll just start back versus the Idaho game. I thought, kind of how Jack mentioned, I thought there were plays that they left out there. I played Idaho I played against Idaho with Washington State and then with Montana, and both those games we won. And I played relatively well in the game with Montana. So just to think of the competition for Washington State, it's kind of like, all right, y'all started off pretty slow. Y'all were down, I think, 10-0. I really was like, dang, just as a former Cool, and again, who's played Idaho two separate times with two different teams, I'm like, I know that's not the WSU. I know, obviously Leach left and Dicker, or not even Dicker, but the next coach took over, and then he left and Dicker stepped in. And I feel like the team, they knew they had an identity, obviously having some players who were still there from the previous year or two. And just having that identity, you just got to find it. And I think, through adversity, they went through adversity quick. And in the first game, you down 10-0, you like, fuck, we should be winning this game. We shouldn't be losing to Idaho. I was even watching the coach on the other side. I don't know his name for Idaho, but he was he was feeling good, and that and I'm not knocking him. I think as a coach you should do that, but he was feeling good, happy that they were just in the game. So maybe Washington State defense seeing it, even the offense. I see Renard Bell on the other side. He was getting a little chippy. So it's you just kind of got to find yourself into this new season, man. And they going into the next game, they did a really good job because, and this is a thought I just thought about when Jack was speaking. We're about to see this Pac-12 shift into the Big Ten. And it was interesting to see a team like Washington State who isn't thought of like Oregon or, UCLA and USC who are going to be going sooner than other teams. And it was interesting to see a Pac-12 team who everyone is sleeping on in a sense, and they go in there and you beat, you go win at Wisconsin. That's a big deal. So they definitely did their thing. They found themselves, and I'm glad that the game went how it went through the turnovers and all the adversity in that second game.
I want to point out another thing too.
Yeah,
Again, talking
absolutely,
about
man. I definitely
being a
think
Coug,
Washington State's
it's just
defense
different.
is
It's
their
just different.
strong suit.
From like the small town mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah, like small town mentality. Cougs against the world. It's always been
Yeah.
that way. Because again, like you said, Lee, no one wants to think about us. No one even cares
Yeah.
about us. Most people don't
Right.
even know where we are. Pullman, Washington. I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But and
Yep.
again, they show up to the big games. Think about, against USC my senior year. They showed up that night and they showed out. We beat USC. They were ranked 5 at the time. And then
Big game.
after I left, they played Oregon on College Game Day. A lot of people picking the Oregon Ducks. You know what happened?
Yeah.
Gardner Minshew, or no, was it Gardner? No,
Was
the
it? I
Cougs
think
won
it was.
that one too.
Yeah.
I think it
Hmm.
might. Yeah, I think it was.
Gardner.
Beat Justin
Yeah.
Herbert,
Yeah.
and now we go to Wisconsin. That's where Jake Dickert's from. Jake
Yeah.
Dickert is
That
from
was crazy
Wisconsin,
to
some
see
tiny
too.
town. He had 200 family members and friends in the crowd, and I guarantee you, those kids, they wanted to get him a win more than anything, and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like, it motivates them. It makes them feel like there's not a
Yeah.
single game they can't win, and they proved that. They proved it time and time again that
Mhm.
they are emotional, they get hyped, they believe in themselves, which is huge when you're out on the field.
Yeah.
I feel.
Yep. I definitely think Dicker is more of like a player's coach. Like you just feel like you want to play for the man. And that definitely showed against Wisconsin.
Yeah.
But Wazoo, man, Wazoo's offense, it's not their strong suit this year, in my opinion. At least it doesn't seem like it right now. Their defense is flying around, though, man. I like the linebacker number 1 and number 8 too. Number 8 is pretty solid as well. And so that defense is nice. It's nice.
Yeah. Henley, transfer from Nevada. I think he might have been defensive player of the conference. He was great at Nevada.
See?
Yeah. He played well. He was moving around.
Yeah. Oh, that's who number 1 is, Henley?
Yeah.
Yeah, Henley.
Oh, that's a big boy too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like he
What they say,
dog.
like
I'm like, oh
260
shit.
or some shit? I heard something like 250, 240. That's a lot of
Yo,
weight.
I didn't even know that.
It was. I think I
Boy
seen
can hit,
something
though.
like that. That was crazy.
That's a big boy. So let's discuss the offense though, man. What do you think? What do you think they need to do to kind of get the ball rolling right now? Because I definitely think the short game is working okay, like screens and stuff like that. But they need to be more versatile in the offense. So what do you think they can do to do that, Jackie Bo?
The offense is pretty prototypical. You're going to see about, nowadays, I'd say 75% pass. I feel like it used to be 80, 85% pass back in the day, where they're shifting a little bit more to the run game. I like to see a little bit more of the run game.
Yeah.
Nakia Watson, I feel like, has a lot of potential. And, hey, he was a transfer from Wisconsin, so he had a revenge game, which was awesome to see him win, too. But I like to see a little bit more running, even though they don't have a James Williams. They don't have a Max Borghi. But I think Nakia is a good running back. He should see some more touches. And on top of that, I feel like Cam, he just needs a little bit more confidence. He's getting used to playing in a Power 5 conference right now. I just wait for him to, really get his feet set in this style of play. He's only been scrimmaging his own team pretty much.
Yeah.
So, but to go out and still have good composure, not a perfect game, but to be out there and get the job done against a team like Wisconsin, his confidence should skyrocket. And I think we'll be seeing a lot better play from him in the future.
Yeah.
Okay. Lee, what you think about the offense?
I mean, I always felt like, even since I've been there, or we've been there, obviously WSU has struggled with the offensive scheme. I know that the plays we used to have what was it, LA and New York, just simple plays. It wasn't really a complicated scheme, and even now I feel like, yeah, I don't know, maybe I don't know what the offensive philosophy is for the offensive coordinator at WSU right now, but I haven't really looked into it. I'm not really familiar with the coach, but just seeing the shift from Leach to the next coach, I felt like they tried to start running the ball more, different schemes, different type of run plays. But I think if they can learn from one coach, and I just overheard it in the game this past weekend, Lincoln Riley, we all know he comes from the air raid under Leach. He played for Leach, and he really I'm watching him even at SC. His run game is it's not a power eye system or nothing like that. But even out of the spread, I'm seeing counter plays. I'm seeing I even seen a counter screen versus Stanford. So you evolve in the run game, and now you having guards and tackles going one way, and it's like a
Yeah,
crisscross, and you got a screenplay. Like so, as much as WSU like screens, I mean, even that play alone, I don't know if you guys seen it, but it was to the receiver from Pittsburgh. I forgot his name. And it was like a
Oh, I
nice,
Addison.
know who you're talking
yeah,
about. Yeah.
yeah, Addison, yeah. So like, if y'all seen
Hmm.
that play, it was a crazy play. It was like a counter and a screen. So the RPO game, like maybe they can get it to more of that. But even watching the first game again, like I seen Renard Bell out there blocking, and I seen some of the receivers. It just like if you're playing 12 games, the teams are gonna catch on to that. So I mean,
Yeah,
just hand the ball off, go straight. Yeah, for them at least.
yeah, absolutely, man. Their offense, it's Incarnate Word, which is the dude in my conference. He was the head coach. He's the offensive coordinator now over there,
Oh
and
yeah.
they're involving tight ends, which is actually
Yep.
I love it. I think
Oh,
that's
okay,
fucking huge,
okay,
especially
okay.
in the run game.
I love it too.
And so
Yeah,
I
We have a
just
really
that
good tight end on the team too. Yeah, like a 4-star kid.
4 star.
good.
Yeah, I think we have a
Sheesh.
4-star tight end
See, that's
as a
crazy.
freshman.
Damn,
Like probably one of the best recruits we've seen in a long time.
As a tight end.
that's good.
That's crazy, dog. Fucking, but I definitely think Ward
Right.
needs to get his feet under him, though. And it's going to take a little while. Like you said, Power Five conference, Pac-12, especially in a big game like Wisconsin in the Big Ten. But I think it's going to take him a little bit of while just to get used to everything. And I definitely think the offense will get a lot better than what they've showed these past 2 weeks. It's inconsistent, but it's still good. So I definitely think like the consistency
Yeah.
needs to happen. And so, any more
For
thoughts
sure.
on Wazoo versus Wisconsin?
No, I would say though, like for next week versus Colorado State, like come out swinging. Don't go out and you're gonna have a lot of momentum rolling from the last game, but you should really focus on like you could be the top dog now. You scooted by a lower tier team in Idaho, so now you playing the Colorado State team, non-conference game, out of the division or whatever, and come out swinging, execution, getting first downs, making sure make sure they're catching the ball. All the little things, make sure you do it right this game because, Pac-12 play is going to come. And, SC
Mm-hmm.
right now is probably the top dog. So I'm not saying look at them. I'm not even sure if they have them on the schedule. But, say they go to Pac-12 championship. Like, you got to be visualizing the winning now. And I just hope they don't come out flat versus Colorado State.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Renard Bell, man, comeback player of the year. I'm loving it right now. I am loving it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for him.
So let's get into the Hawks, man. Let's get into the Hawks versus the Broncos. Russell Wilson reunion, coming back to Seattle in the first game of the season, coming away with a loss, with a big L, in my opinion. Let me get your opinion on that game, Lee. Let's go with Lee.
All right, so I'm watching it from the not even from the perspective of a fan of either team, but just I'm knowing like I've been to Seattle, I'm a little familiar with it. I've never been to a game, but just knowing how Seattle is, like playing that UW, I know that those fans, they're getting loud, and I heard a lot about the 12th man, so and Russell knew that going into it. I don't know if the team knew that it was going to be the environment it was, or even the coach. I feel like the game was good for a long part, and damn, we lost DJ.
Oh dang! Can y'all
Oh,
hear me?
your thing. Oh yeah, I can hear
Yeah,
you.
I can hear you.
All right, I'll keep
Okay,
talking,
okay.
but yeah, just knowing that the game was close, it was good. Seattle came out swinging. Though they surprised me. I thought Gino was gonna come out. I don't know, looking like a bum, but their offensive coordinator had a really good
Yep.
scheme. Obviously you playing with nothing to lose. Vegas got you losing by 6.5 points. 90% of bets were on the Broncos. So again, Seattle came out and did what they had to do. Also, it was cool seeing Abe Lucas out there. The dude was
Yeah.
ball. I seen him. I mean, it's just crazy seeing him blocking Randy Gregory, who is a stud in the league. But I
Mm-hmm.
just think like you boil it down to the end of the game, and anybody who's familiar with football, you don't have to play football to know clock management. Like I couldn't believe they handled it the way they did. Like you paid Russell 200
Shitty.
something million, 160 plus guaranteed, and you're gonna put it in the leg of a kicker. And what killed me, I thought about it today at work was that we watched the Sunday games and the kicker's missing and the snappers snapping it high and like overtime games,
Everything going
wins,
wrong.
tie, yeah, everything going wrong, and even Seattle calls the timeout, he misses it. And you try it again. I mean, I was baffled by that, but kudos to the Seahawks, and I was more happy for Geno Smith than anybody.
Yep. Okay, you back, DJ?
Yep, I'm back, man. Fucking Wi-Fi. Hopefully my hotspot is good. We'll see.
All right.
That boy got that boost.
Fuck. Nah, this fucking Wi-Fi sucks, dude.
So you could just ask me about when you're ready. You could just ask me about my thoughts.
Yeah, because
Okay.
I ended
Let's get it,
mine
man.
like as soon as you was freezing.
Okay. So Jackie, man, give me your thoughts and opinions on the Hawks versus the Broncos last night.
Well, you probably got some really funny clips of me from the time that we were talking about the Russell Wilson trade that you're gonna bring up. I got
Yep.
I feel like I'm like Skip Bayless eating my words on the Cowboys right now. Like, hey, I don't even know what to say about it. I'm just gonna like say what happened. I mean, what happened was Lee's right. Like the Hawks came out with some great play calling, better play calling than I ever saw them call for Russ.
Right.
And some great plays, and Geno was really hitting the tight ends all night.
Oh,
which,
man.
which looked awesome. I love that. He could hit them, for short gains, mid gains, long gains. And you really haven't seen anything like that since, honestly, like the Super Bowl year when we had Zach Miller.
Mm-hmm.
And Zach Miller, in my opinion, is like of the Seahawks, like, dynasty era. I think he's probably like my favorite tight end overall because that dude was just making the clutch play after clutch play, and Russell had a great chemistry with him at the time. And I think right now that you're kind of seeing that happen with like Disley and Geno, and also shout out Colby Parkinson. He only had four. Yeah. I think he had like 4 career catches before that game, and then he caught 2 great ones, and one of them was a touchdown that game. So it was great to see him incorporating that, still hitting DK. He hit a bunch of different receivers. He didn't he didn't particularly favor anybody, which is good. It keeps the defense on their toes, And I thought the play calling was really good, and then we got really, really hyped. And then it kind of like plateaued a little bit, gave the Broncos a chance to come back. Russell hitting Jerry Jeudy. That was a huge play. Took a little bit of the wind out, and then it got close again. And I want to shout out the defense a little bit because, like, Clint Hurt, new defensive coordinator, never been a defensive coordinator. He was a former D-line coach. I thought he did a pretty good job, in my opinion. I think he could have brought a little more pressure because that's, like, the one thing Russ hates is pressure. But the dude who brought it, in my opinion, like the defensive player of the game for me is Uchenna Nwosu, who we got from the Chargers. He racked up a bunch of QB hits. He had a sack. He was making big play after big play, TFLs. He was all over the line of scrimmage. He was like my defensive MVP for the Hawks for sure. And he was a young guy with a lot of potential down in LA for the Chargers. And he racked up 17 pressures last season as a backup. And he had 5 sacks. So now he's getting a chance to be the starter, be out there almost every down. He could play the run, he could play the pass, strong, young kid, and he showed up. So that was really nice to see. And as far as like the environment goes, I knew it was going to be like that. Russell knew it was going to be like that. No one was happy with this when it went down.
I got a question. So,
what's up?
Okay, you've been a Seahawks fan, grew up in Seattle. Russ gave
been
a lot
to many
to
games.
Russ gave a lot to that organization. What do you think about the booing? Like, I've never been a fan, like a true fan of a team and lost a player like that. So, what's that like? What do you think?
I feel like I'm very much in the minority on this.
Okay.
Whereas like I'm not really hating on him at all because I get some of the reasons why he left.
Yeah.
And I kind of get it. I could kind of care. Like I was mad about it, but I could kind of care less about the booing. A lot of people are they're scorned. Yeah. They're just scorned. Because Russ said he wanted to be a Seahawk for life. 2 weeks later, he's gone. And then near like the middle of the offseason, he signed that ridiculous deal, which, in my opinion, dude, I think I might have said this on the podcast about the trade. Like overpaying these quarterbacks that much money, it dooms a team for the future.
Yeah.
Because, Russell's main complaint was like, why can't we get the guys that I want? Why can't we get the guys? We had a large payroll for like a couple of guys, and it kind of messed with our cap space. We couldn't give free agents what they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And with these mega deals at quarterback and even at wide receiver for a guy like Tariq Hill, it can cause major problems for a roster, and you really need to bank on drafting. You need to bank big on drafting, which, in Russell's defense, during his time here the last like 4 or 5 years, they didn't hit on a lot of draft picks, whereas in the past when we built the Legion of Boom, you don't get that lucky often. They really banked. They had probably some of the greatest drafts we've ever seen with those guys who are like Hall of Fame caliber players almost.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully, Denver, if they're lucky, they draft right. They don't need to bank on big free agent signings. But Russell's going to restrict them in the long run. And Lee, you brought up Abe Lucas. I want to shout out Abe too, because Abe was one of the top 5 graded rookies of week 1.
Dang.
He had a good night. He had a good night.
Crazy.
And Charles Cross at left tackle, the Broncos pick that they sent us. He was the guy on Bradley Chubb all night. Yeah. And he gave up, I think, 2 sacks. But, I mean, that dude's a beast.
He's a dog.
And this guy is a rookie, a little undersized for a tackle because he comes from an air raid system. But, there's a couple times where Geno could have stepped up in the pocket to avoid some of those sacks. So I'm not going to place a lot of blame on him. I think he had a great first game. And, okay, it's kind of funny if you watch the end of the game for the handshakes and all that. Because,
the butt grabbing?
I think,
or no?
Okay. Oh, the butt grabbing was funny. Geno's a clown.
Why do you grip his shit like that?
But he gave it a little,
Oh, my God.
Shit.
But about Russell is like, normally, in a game like that, like someone like seeks out that top player, like people flock to that guy. People flock to Tom Brady after games. Even Aaron Rodgers is kind of an ass.
Yeah.
But a lot of those guys. When Peyton Manning, when he left the Colts, people were flocking to him too. When after that game, ain't nobody flocked to Russell. Not immediately. At least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he went straight to Pete, dude. He went straight to Pete, and they had the most quick hug for optics, I'm guessing. Yeah. And it was done. And then he went and found Geno. They had a nice moment, and then it took people a while. And then he had a nice moment with DK, but it kind of says a lot about I think the players were disappointed in him too for leaving, and they made that known. They wanted to win this game more than anything.
Yeah,
they wanted it for the fans, and they knew the fans were going to show up. Oh, yeah. Russell has played in Lumen for a long time, but he's never been on the other side of it, and you could tell. An interesting thing is when I was watching him, that dude is slow on the ball. He takes up too much clock. He did it with us, and
way too much clock.
I thought maybe it would change in Denver. He wastes more clock than any quarterback I think I've ever seen in the NFL. Now that I'm seeing him on a different team, still doing it. You can't blame that on coaching. You blame that on the player. And then at the end of the day, bad coaching doomed the Broncos. I mean, you paid Russell all that money. He has some of the most fourth quarter wins, fourth quarter comebacks in the NFL. You give him a chance to get you closer. You don't put it in the leg of your kicker who's actually never made a 60-yard field goal. Yeah. It's just bad coaching. At the end of the day, it's Nathaniel Hackett's fault because Russell threw for 340 yards.
340. Goodness.
Man.
And that's what I got on that.
And you know what really impressed me about the Seahawks, man? Their offense, it looked normal. Like there wasn't just deep bombs every single time, right? It's a lot of quick game. You running the ball with Rashad Penny, who I actually really like. Rashad Penny runs the ball fucking hard, and it's amazing to watch. But fucking man, their offense, especially in the first half, it looked nice. Like short completions. Geno went 17 for 18 in the first half. Like it's really impressive how they can just run a normal offense and not have to cater to Russell deep dropbacks and just throwing it deep. But sometimes it's great to have that, but then that results in a lot of sacks, which puts a lot of pressure on your offensive line. And so I think the Seahawks look pretty good, man. I thought they were going to be a piece of shit, but Geno Smith came out to play. I'm not going to lie about that. And the defense actually looked really nice, but I don't know if it's a hot take or whatever. Jamal Adams needs to go. You're kind of paying him a lot of money just to be a regular player. So I'm not too sure, but he's done for the season now. But He is a regular player. Like, he doesn't make the impact as Minka Fitzpatrick for the Steelers, right? Like, he's not that impactful with the Seahawks.
Very true.
Yeah, so, man.
They're
And
very
also,
different
like you said,
safeties in his defense.
they are. He's more of a in-the-box linebacker type safety, Jamal Adams, coming off the
He's a
edge,
true
blitzing
strong,
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so
Minka's like Earl Thomas.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's true though. That is true. I like that comparison. But fucking man, I want to talk about the field goal too, man. You pay Russell like $200+ million, and like you said, fourth quarter comeback is what he does, right? And on a fucking 4th and 5, you waste all this time to what, get a playoff, or you didn't even try to draw him off sides. If you did, it took way too long. Then you call a timeout. You wasted like 30 seconds on the fucking clock. That was shitty. Right. And then if you're gonna do that, fuck it. You might as well go for it at that point. It's 4th and 5. You pay him all this money to kick a field goal. It's bullshit. That's a bad coaching call. I think he realizes that. But man, honestly, but McManus, he could have made the kick if like Shannon Sharp said, just go ahead, aim for the upright, and then it's gonna curve back in. That's what he said on the Peyton Manning cast. But fuck it, man. That's they need to figure that out. Regardless, they were gonna kick a field goal, but why not go for it on 4th and 5? Get the first down, call a timeout, and try to get 2 more plays off to get closer. But instead, you waste all that time, then you do a 64-yard field goal. That's just not. It sucks. Pee Wee coaches can do a lot better than that. So, yeah.
Literally. You know, hey, Peyton was funny too. Peyton was trying to call the timeout through the TV.
He was like, timeout.
It was bad.
He was calling the timeout through the TV, and I'm dying, bro. He's like, what are you doing?
Yep.
And Nathaniel Hackett, dude. Hey, Hackett, I'm going to say it right now. That man is Bush League for calling those timeouts after the Hawks got the ball back. Like, dude, what are you trying to accomplish here?
You
That's
lost.
Bush League, man. Get out of here.
Even though Matt.
Like, why are you calling timeout now? There's no point.
Yeah. You gotta take the L. The Hawks earned it, and at the end of the day, that game was actually, and I've hated on Pete too quite a bit, but that game was won by coaching. Not that Pete had any real competition, clearly, but that game was won by Pete Carroll out-coached Nathaniel Hackett at the end of the day.
Absolutely. You're right as fuck on that part. But Nathaniel Hackett, let's give him a little break, man. First-year head coach. But he has to do better, though.
He's been in the league for too long. He knows the game.
He just can't do that again.
And you know what's crazy?
Like, for them, we all. Oh, go ahead.
Yes. No, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, he can't make mistakes like that, given the fact that they do have one of the toughest divisions. Those kind of wins, like, again, if Vegas says you're gonna, or if Vegas has you favored, they think you're gonna win, and a lot of people, like I said, 90% of bettors took them. You got to win that game. Obviously, you playing against a team who got a lot of emotion, but again, you need to win. The Chargers came out dominant versus the Raiders. The Raiders still, it's week 1, which is still crazy to think. It's 16 more games, but every game will count. Last year we go to the Raiders Chargers, and we're down to either the coach on the Chargers, calling timeout or not, and both teams getting into the playoffs. Yeah. But he fucked that over, and only the Raiders get into the playoffs. So it's like, what if it comes down to that situation again, and now that you guys lost, an important game 1 or maybe somewhere else down the road, it's no more room for mistakes. I don't care if you're a first-year head coach. I don't care, new quarterback, whatever it is, you got to win, and that's that.
Yep, that's true, man. That's true. And to end it off, we're gonna talk about, because Lee got the jersey on, so I just want to give Lamar Jackson his props. Yeah. He looked fucking good out there, man.
Yeah,
it's the Jets. It's the Jets, but he looked great though. He looked great. He gonna get paid too.
Well, we all know. We all know, like college or NFL, even high, not necessarily high school, but to win a game is always tough, especially week 1. Like, yeah, they could have went out there and whooped the Jets like they did, or they could have went out there and lost, like, the Colts tied, or even the Bengals losing to the Steelers. Again, Broncos losing to the Seahawks. You could lose these games, but for Lamar to go out there and come out the way he did, people forget last season before he got hurt, he had a team who had 3 or 4 running backs down week 1 or before week 1.
Yep.
he was kind of in the
Yep.
MVP race in the sense. He was like a top 10 player. The Ravens were doing good. He got hurt, and season went downhill from there. But it's crazy to think. Like I just seen his record the other day. I think he's 35-12 as a starting quarterback. You look at Herbert, who's like probably he got one win this week, so like 16 and like 17 or some shit like that. Like just a bad record, and then it's not his fault necessarily, but Lamar has continuously won. He's done everything the right way. He's been like almost
Yes.
a role model to the Baltimore community. And he has an MVP. He has a league MVP, and he's not getting the respect from everyone on the outside, even the Ravens. Like, pay the
Everybody.
guy his money. Pay him his money. That's
Yep.
my thing. Like he's won for your organization. He's taking you out of the playoffs with no receivers. Think of any top quarterback you could think of. They have receivers. At least last season, I know Rodgers doesn't have no one yet, but like just top dogs have.
Bro.
They look rough, man. They look rough. But
He's my fantasy quarterback. I want to punch that man.
I got my home.
It's looking bad. It's looking bad.
Just my thing. Pay the man his money, man. The Ravens. I mean, I'm only a fan of them because of him, but pay him the money, or we won't be the same. And I'm gonna leave wherever he's.
Yep. Dude, you're right. Pay Lamar. He's earned that money, but you know what? At the end of the day, Lee, I made the point. You know the point I made. You pay him that money, you doom your team for however long that contract goes.
But who do you have to pay?
So crazy about
who do you have to pay?
Yeah, I was gonna say on the Ravens, we don't really have like no. I mean, our cornerback Humphrey, he has a solid. He's a top like 3 or 4 paid corner.
Oh, Marlon's great.
Yeah, but I'm saying like we don't have like no big running back. We don't have a big receiver. Like we build off the draft in a sense too. Like our 2 starting receivers now, our 2 starting tight ends likely is a rookie and he's a baller. Even our backup quarterback,
Mark Andrews.
Mark Andrews is a dog. So
you're gonna want money.
Oh, you got to pay him.
Yeah,
you got to pay him.
Yeah, he'll get it. But even just 2 on offense, like within the next couple of years, I don't think that's the worst. And they've made it clear they're not going out to sign a Tyreek Hill at receiver or a top tier running back. Yeah, Devontae. So
yeah, well, only time will tell on these things. But I mean, the highest paid player, like 2 things seem to not win the most or don't win at all. It's teams, again, the Rams, what they did last year was crazy. But I think you're going to see a little regression with their payroll being as messed up as it is. I mean, they'll still be a playoff team. I think they can still get it done, but I don't think they'll be as good as last year. But, MVPs and like crazy high paid teams in general, they're not the ones that are winning the Super Bowl or going. Like the Rams made like an exception, and maybe they could prove that stereotype wrong again. I mean, I think they could, but it's just kind of a pattern.
Patty Mahomes is getting paid.
Yeah, well, his contract's a little.
He got paid.
It's long.
Like
it's long.
It's
pause.
And he got paid. He did get paid that money after he won the Super Bowl. Yo, pause.
It take about 4 years to get mine.
Are we back in college right now?
I had to. Right now, you didn't think I was gonna let him slide with that.
Oh shit! This nigga leave. Fuck. But one thing,
Mahomes,
man, fuck
what he
it.
got, like a 10-year? What he got? What Mahomes got?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh yeah,
about
it's
10
like
years.
10 years, like 500
million
or something. It's like 10 years.
Yeah, but his
guarantee
guarantee not crazy neither. Yeah, his guarantee not crazy.
I think what Lamar, man, he wants a fully guaranteed contract like Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
And it came out that the Ravens offered him $190 million guaranteed, which is the second most. I think Kyler Murray's like 182 or something like that. But Lamar, man, he's like, give me $232 million guaranteed, and I'm good. But the Ravens don't want to do that. So they're going back and forth,
dude,
and I don't know who's gonna give.
Yeah.
Bro, that contract was actually great that they offered him. I'm gonna say shame on Lamar for not accepting it, because that contract was better than Russell's. It had 1 extra year of attachment and more overall money, as it should. It's an extra year, more money, and more guaranteed money than Russell. And he still said to, get out of here with that. I'm like, that's kind of where it's like, dude, where does the greed end? Everyone talks about Tom Brady.
That's a good
Every year
point.
we see this.
That's a good point. So I always think of it's an athlete who's in the entertainment, the media right now. I think Ryan Clark. He always says he sides with the player, especially when it comes to money.
Yeah.
And I understand your point fully, Jack. Like maybe greed, maybe it's not. I really think it boils down to you're worth something. When you're the quarterback is always the top paid. And it's not Lamar's.
For sure.
It's not Lamar's fault. It's the Cleveland Browns' fault for making the contract what it is. And I just watched the podcast.
Rodgers' fault first.
Yeah, Rodgers' fault first. But
Rodgers' fault first.
I think on the pivot they were talking about it, and no, Cam Newton's thing. He was talking about it, but it was with the pivot cast, and they were just saying that like Cam was saying, they asked him, does he get mad that these quarterbacks are getting their money, Kirk Cousins, et cetera, et cetera. And he's just like, shit, for me, like most importantly, all of us or some of us are either fathers or husbands, boyfriends, whatever it is, providers for their family. So he'll never hate because these men are they're worth something. They go out there and they provide, themselves, not even a service. They provide themselves for these teams. And like to be a quarterback, we all know quarterbacks are predominantly white. They always have been. So I think that misconception or the like Lamar could seem greedy, but like he's not only following what the Browns did, he's following the trend of what the media is going to do. The league signing these bigger deals. They signed off to Amazon for Thursday Night Football. They're going to be signing with Apple soon for I don't know what day would it be, but the market is just growing, and it's not these players' fault. It's if you work at a job and your job is making X amount of dollars, and you have a little bit of say. Like you a top dog in the company. If they getting $100 million, shit, I need at least 10%. Like, and I ain't saying he want 10% of the Ravens, but like, he is the face of that. Yeah, he's the face of that franchise, and it's just the market. Like, it's just gonna keep going. Deshaun's the highest. Who knows who's gonna be the next? Maybe Lamar, and after that, it's gonna be the next player. These TV deals are gonna grow. ESPN, ABC, all this stuff. So he just follows.
What does the cap get raised to?
Yeah.
What does the cap get raised to now? You got to raise the cap, but the whole point of the cap is like not every team has the same budget.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
That's true.
The owners only have
That's
X
true.
amount of money. They only have, and they want to build a team to win. They don't want to build a team to pay a guy at the, it's also a business. And you're right, the quarterback does deserve the most money. But yeah, two things I blame: Aaron Rodgers and Christian Kirk.
Oh, Kirk!
What was that dude doing?
Boy.
Those two.
He destroyed the receiving market.
Bro, they destroyed all the
Granted,
They destroyed all the market.
he went for 117 yards this week. So give that man his fucking props.
Again, I saw it with the players, but when you see Christian Kirk get a 4-year, $80-something million, like
as a career number 3 receiver.
Yeah.
That's true though. That is true.
Like,
but I think he has the upside to become maybe a 1.5.
We'll see.
Yeah, more power to him.
Good luck.
Hey, but my thing is, man, before we head out, man, go ahead, give Lamar Jackson fucking $250 guaranteed. Blow Deshaun Watson out of the water. The NFL making money, so why not Lamar Jackson make some money, man? And let's go ahead and finish it off that, man. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Views and Voices podcast.
Sir.
Alrighty.